Welcome to Recast, presented by the Baptist Union of Scotland. Each episode will look at a key issue of mission or discipleship for church leaders in Scotland. We will be bringing you key voices, practical insights and unique stories, all focused on the church in Scotland.
Welcome to the Recast. My name is Glenn Innes. This is one of our summer mini-pods. We hope you enjoy it. I'm delighted to have with me today my colleague, Andrew Clark. Andrew, welcome to the Recast, which is new for you, but you were on the Midcast before. Thanks for giving us your time today.
Thank you. Looking forward to this.
Andrew, you are the Leadership Development Lead for the Baptist Union of Scotland. I got your title right there, didn't I?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean? What do you do?
My responsibility is to help leadership teams across our network of Baptist churches in Scotland, help them in training and development and resourcing them. I focus particularly on ministers, but the brief includes leadership teams as a whole as well.
Oh, great. So that's quite new in terms of your new role, is the extension of that beyond ministers to leadership teams.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Great. And I mean, what sort of things are you doing at the moment to support leadership teams? What sort of resources are you providing for them?
Well, quite often leadership teams seek to have set aside their own training days, opportunities for a team to spend maybe a Saturday together and work through some of the key issues there. And I'm really glad to be a sounding board in those sort of contexts in particular. Yeah.
Great. One of the other things that I know is part of your role is our managing our relationship with Lead Academey and running the Lead Academey programme here in Scotland, which is another way that leadership teams can get some input. Could you tell us a bit about Leadership Academy and what it is, and particularly how we run it here in Scotland?
Lead Academy is an organisation based down in England, and one of the things that they particularly do is run learning communities. So Lead Academy do various things. Learning communities are one particular one. And here in Scotland, we run for our Baptist Union network learning communities rooted back to Lead Academy. Learning communities are training opportunities specifically for leadership teams. And we've been doing this for a good number of years now in Scotland, and quite a few Baptist churches have signed up to this. I was on the first cohort. The church that I have been a leader of was on the first cohort of leadership teams that signed up for these learning communities. And there's lots of, maybe I could unpack more about what the nature of a learning community is.
That would be helpful.
These are opportunities for leadership teams to spend time as a team. So we shouldn't think in terms of a conference where a set curriculum is deposited on leadership teams from somebody on a stage and behind a microphone. Instead, these are contexts in which leadership teams work together as their own team to explore questions that are posed within the learning community. So it's not as if there are any prescriptive outcomes. So the learning community that I was on as a church leader, our own church was very different from the other churches that had signed up to the same learning community. But that didn't matter because we weren't being told how to do our leadership. Instead, we were being asked all sorts of questions, posed things from left field, invited to think about things, so that the whole session is broken up into relatively brief sections of input and then much longer sections of go away into a breakout room just for your leadership team and explore how this might look for you.
Okay.
Very, very useful way
Really
of doing
interesting.
things. Yeah.
And that's not a kind of one and done thing. It's a process over a couple of years where you gather every 6 months. Is that right?
That's right. So we meet for 2 years, twice a year. That's the 6 monthly, for 2 days.
Okay, brilliant. And in those 2 days, or sorry, not in those 2 days, but in those 2 years, you're presumably not looking at the same thing each time. There'll be a different set of questions or a different framework for each of those. Is that set?
There are 4 set topics. So the first one looks at the culture of your church, and of course that's going to be different for each church. But you're given ways of identifying what is the culture that we've inherited within our church, and to what extent does that reflect the culture we want to be. That's the first topic, and then other topics include mission. What does that look like for us where we are? Leadership. What is our leadership style here, and to what extent is it constructive, and how do we work as a team within that leadership context? And the fourth one is discipleship. So these 4 topics: mission, culture, discipleship, and leadership.
Brilliant. I mean, it sounds like just about every church could benefit from being a part of that, particularly because it's rooted here in Scotland. So as much as the Leadership Academy are an English organisation, it's been run in a Scottish context by folks from the Baptist Union of Scotland. We've had quite a number of churches go through it already. I guess they're not your stories to tell, but can you hint at some of the ways that churches have found it to be helpful for them?
One of the recurring testimonies we get back is about how this dedicated space for leadership teams to meet together without that boring standard monthly agenda of items to get through has enabled leadership teams to understand more about how each other ticks, how each other approaches a question, how it is that some people are the external processors and some are the internal processors, what riles each other in the team, and to have that concentrated period over 2 days, twice a year for 2 years, that dynamic, there's a kind of a developing process there, and you think, right, I've been part of this team for ages, but I didn't know that that's how this person ticked, and how I wind that other person up, and is there a more constructive way? So a lot of it is about the team development, irrespective of whether we're looking at these 4 topics or not. It's that dedicated space without the boring traditional administrative agenda to get through.
Yeah. You don't need to look at the budget and
No.
the health and safety procedures and the risk
Absolutely.
register and all this kind of stuff. Brilliant. If someone's listening to this, Andrew, and says, okay, that's really interesting, that might be really good for us as a church, given where we're at and some of the things that we're thinking about, perhaps post-COVID, who are we, who are we going to be, who do we want to be? How do you get involved?
So you touched there on the particular stage that a church might be at, and that's really important to unpack, because my sense is that pretty well any church at almost any stage, this is the appropriate time to explore this, and maybe most especially because we're in this new stage of society in a post-pandemic world. But are you in a church where the minister has relatively recently joined? Well, this is the perfect opportunity in which the team of leaders and the minister can gel together. Are you in a time of vacancy? Well, actually, this could be perfect for the church to begin to frame what its agenda is, so that it can seek what kind of a person they want to come and join them. Have you been a set of leaders for a long time or for a short time? Either way, the opportunity now to meet together as a leadership team in this managed facilitated context is ideal. And then, of course, we hit this particular unique context that we're in now, where all churches, my sense is, all churches are beginning to ask important questions. This is how we used to do things. Then there was a hiatus. And the question is, what do we do now? Lead Academy's learning communities seem ideally suited for pretty well any church at this particular stage.
Great. And there's a taster day coming up, right?
That's right. So a day early in September when a minister or a few members of the leadership team can come together, and we've invited up 2 of the people from Lead Academey down in England who are going to host the day with me, and this is on the 6th of September, Tuesday 6th of September, from mid-morning through till early afternoon. We're meeting in Airth Castle, a beautiful location in Stirlingshire near Kincardine, and there we will explore more about what this is like as a learning community, and we'll maybe do some of the exercises together as a taster. That's not essential. It'd be possible to sign up and join a learning community without doing the taster day, but this is just an opportunity to get more of a feel for what it's like.
Great. And you presumably, because it's taster day, you don't have to make sure you can get your whole leadership team there. You don't, if the minister can't go, but a couple of the leaders can go, there could be value for that as well, right?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. It's a Scottish podcast. I've got to ask the question, how much does it cost to go on the taster day?
The Baptist Union is wanting to subsidise this, so it's not wanting to charge for people to come along to this.
So it's free, people. It's free. There's free food an afternoon at Airth Castle with Andrew and the guys from Lead Academy. What could be a better use of your time on that day? Andrew, thank you so much for your time. If you're interested, the information about Lead Academy and the Taster Day are in the show notes. If you want to get in touch with Andrew to chat to him about it, you can email him at andrew@scottishbaptist.org.uk. Again, I'll put a link in the show notes for that. Andrew, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and I hope this has been helpful for people.
Thank you, Glenn.